Hello world, it's Gojo4 with you once again. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm finally getting around to this review of the Ultraman Netflix anime. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and of course I know the series had come out earlier this year, and I was really interested in checking it out, especially because I'm very new to the Ultraman franchise, and I've only seen a few episodes of the very first original Ultraman series. For me, the Ultraman Netflix show was a way to get into the series without really knowing too much about it. But in this review, I'm just going to start out with the first 4 episodes and my general thoughts on each one, and then I'll kind of continue that in this review series for the entire first season of the show. So sit back, relax, and let me tell you my thoughts on the very first 4 episodes of the Ultraman Netflix show. So episode 1 really starts out to introduce Shin Hayata, who is, if you don't know, he is the original Ultraman from the original 1966 series. And it introduces how he officially stopped being Ultraman, but in reality has been fighting aliens, and now he has a son named Shinjiro who's like in high school, who's like a teenager, and it turns out his son Shinjiro has like superhuman powers and abilities and superhuman strength, and he can jump really high, and he's becoming aware of his powers. And of course Mr. Hayata, we'll just call him Hayata for now, is becoming aware that his son has somehow genetically been passed on his super strength and abilities, you know? And he's like basically getting the abilities of Ultraman. He's struggling because he doesn't really want to tell his son the truth. And things all of a sudden come to a head when a strange being called Bemular, who kind of looks like a weird alien version of Ultraman, but really souped up, starts attacking, and he's trying to attack Shinjiro. So Hayata has to come in and get his son out of there and get him to protection by Ide, who also works with the Science Patrol, while Hayata faces off against Bemular. It's a very kind of 2 parts within one episode, because it really starts out first with Hayata learning that he's going to be on his Ultraman, and it features Shinjiro when he's very young. That's like the first half of the episode. Second half of the episode focuses more on young Shinjiro when he's in high school. He beats up some bullies by accident, and he's coming to realize he has powers, and he feels weird and doesn't understand what he is. It's a little bit like Superman, if you will, a young Clark Kent coming to terms with his abilities and his powers, or maybe Spider-Man when after he got bitten by a spider and he's coming to understand his super strength. So it has kind of those elements in it, and for a first episode it's a bit cliche, but I also understand that they have to kind of explain these 2 characters and their backstory and introduce them. And then of course the end of the episode really pretty much ties up to this big fight between Hayata and Bemular. And thus episode 2 pretty much just starts off with Hayata and Bemular fighting in like a stadium. See, Hayata's Ultraman, so he kind of holds him off for a while, but he's also, well, let's be honest, he's an older man at this point. He's not a young Ultraman from the 60s, so he does eventually kind of get cut down by Bemular and blasted, and Shinjiro is like freaking out, so Ide decides to give him a new Ultraman suit, and allows him to go down and fight Bemular as Ultraman, and they go on and have this epic massive fight. Young Shinjiro is able to kind of hold his own ground against Bemular, and then tries to blast him with his signature move, but Bemular survives and flies off into the sunset, I guess. And now Shinjiro knows who his father really is, and it kind of ends with him kind of like in this weird spot now, and that kind of leads us really directly into episode 3. So after that big fight in episode 2, right, then episode 3 starts to kind of go back a little bit less on the action and explain a little bit more. Shinjiro now finds out his dad did survive the fight, but he's injured, and he's obviously much older too, so he's going to take some time to recover. So now Shinjiro will probably have to take on the mantle of Ultraman, and Ide kind of explains to him that aliens are on Earth. There's an official treaty with aliens, so they're not supposed to attack Earth, but there are aliens on Earth and they are causing problems. and they need Ultraman to kind of deal with these things. They also introduce a really cool character named Moroboshi, who's he's a veteran member of the Science Patrol, and he's very efficient, down to business, cold, calculated, and he's very pragmatic. And he doesn't like Shinjiro because he thinks Shinjiro is too naive, too childish, and it doesn't have the guts to get the job done. Like I said, episode 2 was a lot more action, and episode 3 is a bit more talking and explaining, but I liked it because we finally get to see some more explanation as to the aliens and their whole involvement in this, because as you know, the aliens are a big part of the story of Ultraman, and how the aliens some are actually working with the Science Patrol to kind of counter these alien threats that are on Earth. Also, Shinjiro is beginning to deal with the fact that, okay, he's going to be Ultraman now, and he's not sure whether he wants to do it or not. And it almost seems like he just does it because he feels like he has to. He doesn't ever seem like he did it because he really wanted to. It just kind of dawned on him as if, well, he has these powers, he has these abilities, he has to be Ultraman. And so I liked it because it starts to get more into the character development, and that's what I'm seeing I like about the show, is the characters are really interesting. You've got Ide, you've got Shinjiro, you've got Moroboshi, you've got Hayata, and they're all kind of trying to figure out how to best help Earth and protect it from aliens. You also have other characters like Shinjiro's friends and a pop idol that he has a huge crush on called Rena Sayama, who he's got a mad crush on. It's very much like Spider-Man. He can't be with her, and he's scared to tell her who he really is. And she notices Ultraman, and she goes on the news and the press and says she loves Ultraman. And so it's kind of also that, young love going on. It's very much like the superhero vibe. I keep thinking back, especially these couple episodes, I definitely think with Shinjiro's story, it reminds me a lot of Spider-Man and young Peter Parker struggling with being a normal teenager who's in high school, who likes the girl, but also having to protect the city from the threats, and struggling with this legacy, especially for Shinjiro, because he has his father's legacy, he has to protect Earth from aliens. And then episode 4 goes directly into this. It starts with Shinjiro being sent in to kill an alien, and Moroboshi's out there waiting for him to go in, and he says, you need to just go in there and do your job. And Shinjiro freaks out because it's an alien that's eating people, and he's having a very hard time killing it. The fight goes public because they go and they end up fighting in the middle of downtown, and Shinjiro has to unleash his full power, unlock the limiter, to use his full power to defeat the alien. The entire city sees him having this big battle. At this point, the Science Patrol is still officially secret, but everyone's seen Ultraman save people. So it's kind of this weird, it's an open secret that Ultraman is around. But the Science Patrol has not officially said anything. They haven't even officially said that aliens exist on Earth. Also, Ultraman is developing a public image now, and people don't even know if he's really Ultraman or if he's a robot in a suit, as some people claim. And so Shinjiro is kind of trying to figure out how people think of him, right? Because now he's really becoming Ultraman. He has to decide what kind of Ultraman he's going to be. And in the beginning of the episode, he has some hesitation to fight this alien. And later on, he's going to continue to have hesitations because he has a duty as Ultraman to protect Earth, but he also has his own, of course, like every superhero, has his own moral ethics about how to take care of the situation, but also he has to protect people, right? That's his job. So it's delving a bit more into that kind of superhero dynamic. I did like episode 4 because it was definitely more action. There's this cool fight between him and the alien, and he takes off his limiter and he goes full in on this alien. So definitely this episode was more action and more showing Ultraman's powers, and also it's kind of interesting to see the dynamic because this was a huge public fight in front of everyone. As always, the public is either with the superhero or against them, and it kind of goes back and forth. If Spider-Man had the same thing happen to him. Overall, these first 4 episodes are I think they're good openers for the season. It's been a good opening. And it's been kind of more dialogue than action, more dialogue and then action. So it's been a good balance so far. We're getting introduced to all the main characters. And I think it's a good slow progress. I haven't felt, like I said, I'm a newcomer to Ultraman. So for me, I haven't felt too much is being thrown on top of me. There's not a bunch of lore and races and groups. This is Shinjiro, he's Ultraman, there's aliens, he's got to stop them. So far the story is very simple that I can understand it. And I think that's great because for newcomers to the franchise, the show is very accessible. Like I said, you don't really need to know anything about it. Maybe it helps to know a little bit about Ultraman just so you understand Hayata, but they kind of do explain who Ultraman was. But it does help if you like know a thing or two about the original series. But other than that, you really don't need to know anything else about the show. I know I didn't. And so far, I enjoy it. Let me know what you guys thought about the first 4 episodes of the series, or maybe in general what you think of the season. Let me know if you guys are more hardcore Ultraman fans. I'm curious what you guys think, because you know the franchise. You probably know all the Ultramen and all the Ultra series. And so I'm very curious what diehard Ultraman fans thought of the show. I like it. And also stay tuned for the next part of my review. I will be reviewing all the episodes of the season, but I'll just be doing them in groups. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!